you know, I think it will be fine because it will be on our YouTube channel, but nobody really sees that. It's just for posterity. So the Sundar Shadi Award chairperson is Louise Moises, and she will be doing the presentation. And we are very excited to show that. Let's see, let me share my screen and get that up. Sundar Shadi. And we have one of the garden owners here with us. And so we're hoping that she will also be sharing some things about her garden. So here we've got a few photos that I found of Mr. Shadi. And Louise, over to you.
All righty. I think a lot of you know the name of Sundar Shadi, famous for the scene of Bethlehem on Mosier every Christmas. But I thought you might like to know a little bit more about this amazing person for which the award is named. He was originally from Punjab, India. He was born in 1900. His name was Sundar Lamba. He was from a small village in the Punjab, and he helped his family run a farm. From that inspiration, he became interested in gardening and horticulture. As a boy, he was sent to Muslim Sikh schools, and because of the importance of agriculture in the region, he was encouraged to study pomology, the science of agriculture. Sundar came to UC Berkeley in 1921 and received his BS in pomology in 1926 and a master's degree in 1929 in subtropical horticulture. He returned briefly to the Punjab and then back to the United States, where his name was permanently changed to Sundar Shadi, Shadi being the name of the area that he was from in India. He returned to UC for further study and there met Dorothy Clark. They married in 1934, built and lived in their own home on the Arlington in Berkeley. Due to discrimination at the time, being foreign-born and of brown skin, he was unable to secure a job in the university system. His wife did teach at UC Berkeley in the Spanish department. He then opened his own gas station, and I have not been able to track where that is. It's possible it's the one that's up on the Alameda, I'm not sure. He also continued to study on his own horticulture and published many articles on the subject. His interest in gardening led him to do these magnificent carpets of flowers on his hillside. Sometimes the flowers represented an oriental carpet. Sometimes they honored groups that were in the community, such as the Boy Scouts. When neighbors began decorating for Christmas, Mr. Shadi wanted to contribute. He began by putting a star on the property adjacent to his home. Eventually, he started constructing what would become the landmark holiday season's town of Bethlehem. He built and decorated over 100 buildings, his wife sewing clothes for many of the characters that populated the scene, including the nativity scene with the wise men and the shepherds. He was a Hindu, but he wanted to honor his Christian fellows and the community that he lived in. The Sundar Shadi Award began with Sundar Shadi himself, who donated $500 to the El Cerrito Garden Club to be used for city beautification. That original donation was in 1996. Early on, his daughter, Verna Carol Shadi, was one of the original chairpersons for the Sundar Shadi Award. And at that time, it was given monthly, 3 awards per month, which is just phenomenal when I think of the amount of work that goes in to doing a single award. When Sundar Shadi died in 2002 at the age of 101, the El Cerrito Garden Club took up the torch and continued to give the awards, as you know, on into today. There have been a number of worthy directors of this project, including Mary Lynn Cox, Julie Rogers, Vera Leese, Marion Kent, Tanya Edgar, Fleda Mackey, and Landry Wildwing. If I've missed somebody who's here, please let us know. I think Barbara Post also was involved very early on with this award. At this time, we're going to look at the outstanding, this is a picture of Sundar Shadi's amazing oriental carpet of flowers. Certainly an inspiration for all of us. At this time, we're going to take our tour of the Sundar Shadi Awards for 2021. This first garden, located at 6802 Snowden at the corner of Hudson, is in front of what we would call a mid-century modern house. The owners, Karam Singe and his partner, Gabrielle Genet, bought the home in, I believe, 2019, had it completely restored, and began to install Karam's vision, which was to create an oasis and a desert landscape that reminded him of his Middle Eastern upbringing. Originally, the property was covered with overgrown aloes. They dug up a lot, transplanted a few, and began installing this magnificent garden in 2020. It took a year and a half to implement and is still in progress as we speak. You can see by this that it's a large corner lot. The house is almost 3,000 square feet. It sits on a 5,000 square foot piece of property. The curbside strips are very interesting. He used AstroTurf with islands of plantings. So this is a very drought tolerant garden. Here is a detail of the island in the front of the home. Each island is decorated with a glass flamingo and solar lights, which I understand are quite magnificent at night. You can see too the retaining wall, and this is looking down from the top of the property in one of the beautiful aloes that they saved. He used a gravel mulch that covers the entire garden to resemble the desert landscape. It's rock on the right. I believe they had moved, and it's really a feature of the garden. It sort of anchors the side of the garden. You can see he's used many cactuses and succulents of different sizes and shapes, going from very small ground covers to medium range and up to the very large. Karam was interested in securing plants that he was interested in, that he really loved. When he couldn't find what he was looking for, he grew some of his plants from seeds, including a monkey puzzle tree. This shows the installation of the rocks, which make a great division. The front strip there has all different taller, single kind of cactuses, which are really charming. And then there's accents of yellow and lavender throughout the garden, which you can see on the hillside here. And also the very front strip at the top there has another round of planting. a view up the block, and this is a magnificent garden accented too with these daisies, which bring color into the curb strip. Many people walk by this property because at the top of the hill, there's a trail that connects to the street. So it's really an asset to the community. There's a nice specific view of one of the curbside islands. And there's his little glass flamingo coming out of the daisies, really charming setting. And a view up to the walkway, which curves around beautifully. It adds the curve, the only kind of curving line in the landscape. Everything else is very angular, but the curve of the succulents and the cactus are reflected in the curve of the walkway. And this is a path that goes straight and then makes a right angle at the end to go into the back garden. You can see the beautiful plants that they put up against the house, which are going to be increasing in size as time goes on. And in the foreground, one of the ice plants that is a ground cover. Another view of the property looking down, and here you can see that he also has some palms. Another example of different heights in the garden. One of the judges remarked that they thought it was a professionally designed garden, and although Karam is not a professional gardener, it certainly looks like a professional job. This this property was nominated by his neighbor, Mallory Johnson. And I believe towards the end, we're going to see some of Mallory's photographs. There's another detail of the curbside strip, and you can see the variety. There's a alligator fern and the daisies and the aloes, and this wonderful little succulent ground covers. It's a really complex planting in a very small space. And of course, the entire garden is drought tolerant, although he did install an underground drip system. He uses it very sparingly. Like there we have our feature. They have a little girl, and he's accented some of these strips with little fairies. And there's one down in the bottom there, a little tiny glass fairy. You'll see another one in another slide. This is Karam Singe, the designer of the garden, on the day that we made the presentation. And this is our wonderful member, Bonnie, who filmed and videoed each one of our presentations. A great thank you to Bonnie, and you'll see those presentations at the end of our slideshow. This was June, so there's the pride flag in the top at the top of the house. And this is our presentation with Karam and Gabrielle. And another view of our presentation. I'm sorry that they weren't able to make it, because Karam is just a really lovely man and has a wonderful, you can barely see here on the left corner, the monkey puzzle tree, which is one of the items that he grew from seeds. He's an incredibly ambitious gardener, and the two of them work together installing all of these amazing plants. It's a huge project, a gift of love to themselves and the community. He has both solar lights and underground irrigation and wiring. And these are some of the recent photos that I thank Mallory for taking that shows how the garden is growing. You can see the advancing size. This wonderful palm in the background that has really grown since our presentation. And the ground covers that are blooming. And here's one of those great little fairies that they accented the garden with. Bonnie Smith's comment, I don't know if you saw it. That's why they have such wonderful biceps from digging up all these holes for the planting. That's a beautiful view of our sign that I chose, the succulent sign for this garden because it seemed very appropriate. And this wonderful aloe, which is these tones that are in the garden of the seafoam colors and these lush blue greens and the different heights. This is really a very exciting nomination. I should go back and mention that our three gardens are three completely different garden type designs, along with being in three unique neighborhoods of El Cerrito. And there's one of the accent trees, again, that is taken off. This really, the soft look that is accenting the gravel. Thank you, Mallory, for these recent photographs. That was awesome. This is the retaining wall on the right-hand side of the property. Another example of plants in bloom. And now we'll go to our next location. While we're pausing here, I want to send out a special thank you to Martha, who is constantly in support of me and this project. She took most of the slides and arranged them for me, met with me on Zoom, so we'd know what we're doing. It's just awesome to have her as our president. So we're going to our next location. We're very excited to find this garden at 1329 Norville. While the garden on Snowden was very large, the garden on Norville is small and in complete harmony with the house that it fronts. The owners are Philip and Dalla Rogers, and they have two very small children. In this, this is looking at the wonderful modern home that was built and designed by Lucy Ames and Charlie Tripp, who are neighbors of Philip and Darla. The home was built in 2018, which is pretty remarkable that there was even a lot available at that time. The house has a really interesting angular design, and the garden beautifully reflects the shapes of the house, the windows and the doors. There are these accent shrubs, which are called Acacia cognata, also known as cousin its. And there's one there, and we will see another one in a moment. This shows the variety of succulents that are infill this garden. It's accented. So here's this wonderful cousin it shrub that droops beautifully, and it had a mate. Unfortunately, while between the judging and the presentation, the mate acacia died and had to be replaced with a new one. So you will see that in a moment.
Too much water.
So this is looking up towards the house. You can see the variety of plants and one of the sculpture features here. It's beautiful shaped windows that are reflected again in the stepping stones that wander through the garden. Here is the path on the right-hand side going into the backyard, and the Pittosporum forms a shield between them and their neighbor's garden. Again, the linear aspect of the stepping stones reflected in the shapes of the windows, and the gentle curve here to contrast. The garden is accented with rocks and pebble features. There's a small pebble feature here, and then there's going to be a larger pebble feature in another view. This is looking at their wonderful curb strip, which is lushly planted with succulents. And they've maintained this angular look in their stepping stones, but then put in accents of rocks to soften the look. And there is the cousin it plant in its full bloom when we first saw the property. And that was when we judged it, I believe, in April, May. It's another view, and up against, I don't know if, yeah, we can't quite see it in this view. There are different levels. So they did ground cover, low shrubs, higher shrubs, and then finally up against the house, there is bamboo on either side and a smoke tree. So this is the bamboo on the far left, and then the smoke tree on the right. And here is the little cousin it down in the far right-hand corner.
Cousin it.
And it has, they decorated it with a little Charlie Brown Christmas ball, which was really quite charming. I suspect it has grown up. I haven't been by the garden. I will be going by to pick up the sign and see what's going on. Another great view of one of the sculpture accents, and then this beautiful curving pebbled stream bed.
Louise, can we have the spelling of the species name of that acacia?
Let me see. Cognata.
Yeah. PA?
Cognata.
TA, thank you. Thank you. Cognata, okay.
Yeah. And here we see how thick the succulents have grown, and using a lot of ground cover, accented. Here's a nice curve of wood, accented with a beautiful pot and some fern in the background, or palm, I think. Some of the judges' comments said that this was a very modern garden, most appropriate for the style of the house, which reflects the linear design. There's a wonderful view of the pebbled stream bed. Again, although the owners, there's the smoke tree and view of the bamboo on the right and the left, accenting the flatness of the house, and the beautiful wooden entryway, which picks up the color of the mulch, or the mulch picks up the color of the entryway, as does some of the colors of the grasses that they installed. So the yard has shrubs, grasses, succulents, bamboo. It's really, considering it as a very small space, it is a really complex garden and just blends so beautifully with the house. And although the designers of the house assisted with the designs of the garden, Philip is very interested, and Dala very interested in maintaining and planting the garden themselves. And here they are with their two little children. Just wonderful to have young people in our Sundar Shadi Award. They were really thrilled to receive the award. They're very busy with their own lives, and so, but still happy to continue to add to and maintain this beautiful garden. A view of the stream bed looking up to down, and accented rocks. This little guy continued to wiggle. You can see him wiggling here. He's just about ready to wiggle out. It was really a lovely curbside presentation. And I think Tanya mentioned that I've taken to doing the presentations in person at the gardens with us, safely on the sidewalk, masked until the actual presentation. It's really wonderful to be in the gardens, to meet the gardeners up close and actually be with the projects that they've created. This one, I chose the poppy sign and the bees.
My computer is being slow at changing the pages, but this one might be the last one. But I just wanted to comment, Louise, that you had mentioned to me how nice it was that they asked several questions of,
oh, yes,
of the club members that were on the sidewalk, you know, asking the experienced gardeners lots of questions about their plants. I think that might be the last one.
Okay, and another comment from the judges was that it had multiple colors and dimensions.
Yeah, okay. Yep, beautiful. And here again, that little new plant with its Christmas ball. So cute. Okay, we're gonna move on to Maureen's garden, I think.
So we're ready, and I'm really thrilled to be able to present our award winner, Maureen Williams, whose garden is at 500 Balra. It was nominated by Martha when we were walking in that neighborhood and saw the magnificent planting of multiple natives, an incredibly colorful garden, which invites birds, bees, insects, and butterflies. Maureen and her husband, Les Williams, are the owners of the garden. And she mentioned that it reflects their love of the mountains and meadow landscapes. And I am going to turn the presentation over to Maureen, and thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I really have enjoyed your presentations on the other two gardens. I think you did a magnificent job detailing those gardens. They were beautiful.
Thank you.
So I noticed that this picture was probably, I'm not sure what month maybe you walked by and you took some pictures before the presentation, but I just noticed some differences, you know, some plants that were larger or blooming more. So this is the front of our house. It's a ranch style home. We moved to El Cerrito in 2000. And when we moved there were two very large plum trees out in front, juniper in the whole front planting bed, as well as the parking strip. And there were boxwood hedges along the walkway going up to the front door, as well as some other large hedges in the side area next to the garage. So over the years, I have completely removed everything that was existing at the house, other than some of the magnolia in the back and some other trees. But over the 21 years that we've lived there, I really have changed it quite a bit year after year. My love of plants is definitely influenced me in how I'm, work on my garden. So this is just kind of a mixture of all plants, in addition to the natives that I do love. I do use a lot of other different plants as well.
Maureen, do you want me to just kind of go through the slides and you'll just talk about whatever I show?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Again, yeah, just another front picture of the home. And again, a lot of different colors and a lot of different types of plants. And, I do love the native plants. And that was one of the classes that I took up at Merit, was one of the first classes I ever took with Stu Winchester. And I just really enjoyed that class, and used to go up to Tilden Botanical Garden and purchase plants from the California Native Plant Society.
These first photos are all from the end of May, Maureen. So
Okay.
That's why you saw the difference. The others are from the end of June.
Right. Working at Annie's as well also was, a great benefit, being able to, bring home plants and sample them. And here in the front is a manzanita, which I absolutely love. We have a cabin up in the mountains, and there's a lot of manzanita trees around. So lovely to find some that were very happy in my garden. And it's been there for a really long time. I don't know how long it's been there, but I do love manzanita.
I remember from our presentation that Maureen told us she took in adoptees. Can you tell us a little about that?
What are you referring to?
That you took plants that were going to be tossed at Annie's, that you brought them home and nurtured them.
I did that very often. We would, when the plants were overgrown, getting root bound, or maybe some weren't doing as well. And so I did bring home a lot of what we called dumps. And just, it was fun to watch things grow, and just be super happy in my garden. And I did that for all of the years that I actually worked there. And so my garden does constantly change. I do enjoy testing, new plants and changing things.
So many colors in this picture.
Maureen, can you tell us a couple of the plants that are in the picture?
Sure. So in the front, there's some Erigeron seaside daisy right there. I have quite a few succulents. There is Salvia Leucophila. There's a verbascum there, that very tall plant. I love verbascum. The bees love them. Really, I've taken a lot of videos of the bees on that plant. There's a Digiplexus there, exactly. Super fun plant. I brought that home, put it in the ground, and it didn't bloom until the second year. And so this year is actually when it did bloom, and really, really beautiful, very long lasting. I have a lot of grasses in my yard, fescue, Elijah blue down at the bottom, yes, the smaller, shorter one. That other grass there is a juncus. I've had that for many years. My sister-in-law used to work at Native Sons Nursery. And so I did get a lot of plants from her as well. And so that's what that is. The Tithonia behind the juncus is an amazing plant as well. The larger leaf, right, with the yellow sunflower. Really amazing. I cut it back in October. I was getting ready to put out all of our Christmas decorations. And it started growing back and getting new buds on it. So it's actually blooming again. That tree is the first time I've had it. I would definitely recommend it to anybody. Really beautiful. There's an orange one as well. Very fun tree, but you need to have space for sure. There's rock rose in the garden as well. There's another picture again of the Salvia Leucophila, the verbascum. There's a lot of scabiosas in my garden, which I absolutely love to have. The little white scabiosa that you see of one blossom. There's numerous though, but the birds absolutely love it. I enjoy watching them, even when they're older and not blooming anymore. The birds sit on top of those, and it's amazing how they could sit on top of that inflorescence and eat the seeds or the bugs off of those. It's really very enjoyable to me. I do have a lot of I think there's some poppies in there, Schultzia, California poppies. There's different species varieties in there. And let's see, what else do I have in there? There's a couple other salvias that are in the yard and not in this picture. There's Lavender Lace, which I've had for the first time. I would definitely recommend that. It's beautiful purple flowers. I cut it back just recently, so it's already starting to get new leaves on it. Here again, we have more of the scabiosas. There's some more of the poppies. The yellow flower down at the bottom of the page is an Arctotis. That one's called Large Marge. Those are new plants that I started putting in this year. There's also another one called Pink Sugar, really low growing, ground cover, really, fun, hardy plant to have in a parking strip. And the flowers are just beautiful. They continue to bloom. I have some blooming right now at home currently. And this is a terraced garden. When we bought the house, it had numerous terraced areas. We've kept that, and that's a certainly fun way to garden, to have those different levels. And I do love the rock as well. Something that I enjoy, and in my backyard as well, I built some areas with rock too, which I don't think we have any pictures of. The brick path there that leads up to the front door. And again, that's something that I've always loved too, that meandering kind of path that runs from the front of the house to the back patio. It's become quite shady on that side, but it's just kind of reminds me of being out in the woods. Even though it's a brick path, it is fun to have that meandering walkway. And then the plants on the left there's some Tanacetum, which is the chartreuse color there. They get little white daisies on them. The shrub in the front of the picture, just down at the bottom, is a rosemary. I love that. Sometimes it gets really leggy, but so many bees visit that rosemary. There's some things that I just hate to, take away out of my garden, even though it's old. The bees love it. There's a Matilla Poppy right there, which I cannot get rid of that thing. It's in the worst spot ever. I don't even know if I planted it. It may have been a volunteer in some other plant, but I know it's so hard to grow for some other people, but it loves it there. And then now there's some, growing on the other side of the walkway. I absolutely love it. It's an amazing plant. The flowers are beautiful, but it's just in the worst spot. But I do try and keep it. It's really enjoyable to me, though. I have a lot of euphorbias, geums. I have the geums I love. There aren't any in this picture right at the moment, but those are some other plants that I do enjoy. There have orange flowers. There's some red flowers. There are yellow flowers.
I think we have some curb strip pictures of the geum.
Yeah, right. There's our little Sylvie right there. We adopted her from Annie's. She lived in the parking lot by my office. And so she's hanging out right there by the Nepeta tuberosa. That was also a wonderful plant. First time I ever grew that, and just very, upright, but fun. The grass in the front of the walkway is a Miscanthus sinensis. That's been there for, gosh, a really long time, but I absolutely love it. I have one on either side of the walkway, and it's just really fun. The inflorescence is it blows in the wind. I love, watching it blow in the wind, and I've kept it forever. I cut it back in October, and then it's starting to grow back now. Let's see. Yeah, there's some Japanese anemones, which I also, it's the light green petal, right? They definitely reseed. I have so many in my yard, beautiful white flowers, really fun. Can get kind of invasive, but I do love them anyway. That's a Plectranthus right next to it, right? That has beautiful purple flowers. The underside of those leaves are a beautiful purple color as well. Very striking, very happy there. Also gets pretty big, but just really beautiful foliage. In the back, next to that little bear wood carving, listed a wood carving of a bear in the back, right? That was just his first attempt at using a chainsaw and carving something out, but that's a Salvia Limelight, and a beautiful plant as well. That's right next to our porch, and love the inflorescence too.
Maureen, I think this is the
poppy.
Romnia, moving across the path. Yeah,
yes, it is.
I recognize it from my own yard.
The first time, the little purple flower next to the Nepeta tuberosa, yes, that's a Cupid's dart. What is the name? The
Centauria?
No, let's see, I wrote it down. Katanashi, Catananche. Anyway, it's a wonderful plant. First time I put it in my garden this year. Really fun plant. Really enjoy it. Cupid's dart. So I would definitely recommend that.
We're all writing that down.
Pardon me?
We're all writing that down.
Yeah.
I stuck these in because they show that a little bit of that area that we didn't really take pictures of during the judging or the presentation, but this is the El Cerrito Art Association.
Yes.
Eileen Libby's group where they're doing sketching, and Eileen sent me the pictures, and so it shows some of Les's beautiful woodwork,
Right.
and your gorgeous tree.
Yes, that's a leptospermum. I got that on my 40th birthday. So it's about 18 years old. It's a beautiful tree. I didn't imagine it to get so large, but we've enjoyed it. So we do enjoy it. Those little, one of my creative projects I like to do is if I find a chair that needs a home, Les has been making some copper inserts. And so we've been making little succulent gardens in those chairs. So that's a fun little project.
Super cute.
This little area we actually enjoy sitting in, and Les also makes Adirondack chairs. So you can't see it right now, but I think one of the artists are sitting in one of those. But obviously, you know, this is the north side of the house, so it's a little shadier. We have a tree fern there, that camellia bush that's been there ever since we've moved into the house, right next to the tree fern against the kitchen window. Yes. And my children are really loving maple trees. So we started, yes, there's one right there, started planting a couple of maple trees, and we're really enjoying those as well. There's a honeysuckle against the garage wall. Yes, right there. And really very fragrant. Again, something, it's been there for a long time. It's really kind of fun to expose the trunk of that, just because of the twisting and turning of the trunk. But right now it's, I think in that photo, it's fairly large and full of leaves. But I do enjoy those as well. And then here we are, this is the walkway again, going to that side yard and to the front door. Geranium Roxanne, another one of my favorites. The other geranium I love is the Bill Wallace, which is a smaller inflorescence than the Roxanne, but some of my favorite geraniums. The Asclepias Davis there, the larger leaf plant, which the Monarch Butterflies. I actually was able to see a couple of the chrysalis this year. They're absolutely amazing, beautiful. I don't know if you've ever seen a monarch chrysalis, but pretty spectacular. Those are a couple salvias right there behind that. Again, I do often get to bring home, you know, a lot of dumps, which we talked about. So I'm not exactly sure which ones those are. That could be Amistad right there, that purple one, but I'm not exactly sure. The euphorbias, I end up getting a lot of little, you know, seedlings from the euphorbias, but I do love the color mixed in with the purples, and so I usually keep those unless I have too many, and then I'll pull them out. And that's again another side view from the south side of the house. And again, the manzanita, the grasses, the Salvia Leucophila, a lot of scabiosa, California poppies, and that verbascum there in the middle of the yard. It was kind of a funny spot for that verbascum. I had planted a few, but that this year it popped up, so I figured I'm just gonna let it grow. And again, the bees love it, so that's my goal, to have as many bees as I possibly can. And there we are again, that's front of the house. That miscanthus you could see over to the left, those very tall inflorescence, really fun and beautiful, I think. And so the Tithonia, that's much taller than those first pictures. And maybe it gets a little bit taller than that and fuller, but really a great plant. And there we are again, very full. a lot of plants.
Well, and the curb strip too, amazing.
Yeah, and it just, it's really again very enjoyable to me to see all the birds and the bees coming in, the butterflies. And I do have a lot of wildlife that comes into my yard. I have raccoons, I have deer, I have the turkeys, I have the possum coming out. So and there's the geum, the orange little flowers there. The yellow flower, the one with a little darker center is a coreopsis. And the larger yellow flowers there is the Arcturus large marge. Let's see, what else do we have in there?
You have that plectranthus that smells like a skunk.
Very, very fragrant. Yes, the plectranthus. And yes, and I do have a lot of people walking by my yard as well. And somebody walked by the other day and said, "Thank you for the fragrance." And again, for me too, lavender is another one of my favorite plants. And so I do enjoy just the aroma and the fragrance of the plants as well. Cistus is another one that I have against my front window, which has, in the heat, a certain aroma.
Maureen, did I remember you saying that you were a hand waterer and did not have an irrigation system?
I do not have an irrigation system. I do hand water all of my yard. Again, because it's mostly drought tolerant, I really find that I only need to water maybe once a week. I mean, obviously now in the winter months, I haven't been watering at all. And then, yeah, if I use any watering out in front, it's a little hose sprinkler that I'll attach to the hose and turn that on. The parking strip is actually the hardest to access on the south side. So sometimes things may not get watered over there, but yeah, one day maybe I'll put in an irrigation system. Lori Palmquist actually is somebody that I went to school with up in at Merritt. So maybe I'll talk to her about some irrigation.
And what is this grass?
So that is the ruby grass. That's a festuca, and I think it's I can tell you guys.
But festuca.
Yes.
Showy.
I could look it up if you'd like me to after we do the presentation, but yes, it is lovely. The first time I ever had it this year as well, I did buy quite a few, and right now there's no inflorescence, but soon my whole front yard will be full of them.
And when this is finished flowering, do you cut it back?
I do cut it back. Mm-hmm. And I have been keeping things a little bit longer. Sometimes my yard doesn't look so pretty because I'm keeping things longer, but again, I've had a lot of bumblebees this year and honeybees and the birds. And so I've been keeping them, while they're continuing to visit. I will just leave things out, not looking so pretty, but providing, food, whatever, for the wildlife.
Yeah.
And there we are, the white scabioses, the geums, and the Salvia Leucophila, the large marge, all in there. That purple plant right there, I planted it. I don't know what the name is. I'm going to have to check in with my propagation people at Annie's, but such a lovely flower. I don't know what it is, and it's beautiful.
I think that's the Stokes aster.
Oh, yeah.
I found, because I was so interested in it too, and I did some searching, and Annie's had that as a discontinued, so they did used to have
Right.
it. So that was my theory about it.
Yeah, and I was gonna send a picture to, my friends and ask them what it was, because I couldn't find it on the website either.
Yeah, I think it's that Stokes aster is my guess.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
And again, they're showing, the terraced and the rocks, and all the different plants that I have there. The yellow flowers right there is a coreopsis, something that really, will come back. It's a great plant, always comes back. And I think the lavender lace is actually next to that. It's not, I don't think it's blooming there. That Salvia lavender lace next to the coreopsis, but great plant as well. And there we are. That's my husband Les standing next to me. And really, there's a verbascum in the front next to that Salvia Leucophila, right? Again, one of my favorite plants as well. Bees love it. And they continue to come back as well. You can cut those back to the ground and they'll come back the next year.
Looks like such a jungle. It's fabulous.
Yeah, very fortunate to be, working at a nursery and to be, around all those plants. Yarrow is another plant I absolutely love. There's one down below on the left of Louise's leg there. Yes, and beautiful, beautiful inflorescence. There's a cameo, and I'm forgetting the name of that one right at the moment. But it changes. It's like a salmon and yellow inflorescence. And then the flower next to that is an arctotis, that one there. And I think that one's the pink sugar. Again, very long-lived.
Gorgeous. You guys look just so surrounded by flowers.
It's, again, it's just my love of plants, and really wanting to, put as many things in there. And it just, it's a great environment to be in. Really, it's lovely. And that's my daughter, Courtney, in the middle. And they really enjoyed having you all come and visit the garden that day, and enjoyed having you meet with them and take a tour of the backyard as well. I know that many of you spent some time in the back as well. And as a family, we all enjoy, sitting in all those separate areas. Very meditative at times, and we have a lot of birds visiting. So.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, Maureen. That's our last slide.
Okay.
We thought we would end with your family. I'm sorry your son and his girlfriend weren't out on the sidewalk. They were back in the patio chatting.
Yes.
Martha, may I do a roundup when you're done there?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Fabulous. Go right ahead.
All righty. Well, I think we're really indebted to Maureen to giving us an amazing view of her garden and all the fabulous plants. And Ken, able to do much more than I would have been able to do. So thank you so much for inspiring us with your planting and your encouragement of the pollinators. It was just wonderful. I just like to point out how Maureen's garden has different shapes and different heights and all these marvelous colors, which attracted our judges. And I'd like to also recognize at this time the 10 judges, because without the judges, we wouldn't have a Sundar Shadi Award. We started out with 40 nominees, divided that down and divided it into our 10 judges, who then went around and from their list of, I believe each person had about 10 gardens to look at, we came up with the final 15. Every one of the judges visited every one of the 15 gardens, and these 3 obviously rose to the top and were unanimously nominated. And it's wonderful to me to revisit them this way and see what a great contrast and different ways you can work your garden. You can be lush and full, you can be sparse and linear. It was just really rewarding to see the varieties. And I'd like to thank our judges, Fong Lee, Molly Ong, Eileen Libby, Linda Raxel, Marion Kent, Martha Jackson, Bernadette Garcia Roger, Lamerrill, and Clark Milstrom. And I made up the 10th judge. So thank you, judges, for making this happen. And now we would like to turn this over to Bonnie Smith, who so generously filmed our videos of the presentations. So take it away, Bonnie.
Thank you. My goodness, that was just awesome. I don't know if I even should show up after that.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just, it was beautiful. My goodness. I'm telling you, the things we came up with, they're just amazing. So yay for the garden club. We are awesome, awesome people.
Oh, cute. It's great to see the bamboo moving in the breeze and how lovely it accompanies this garden of the very active children. So is Judge Fong Lee bringing the sign up for us?
Bonnie, there's something on your screen.
There
Oh,
we
great.
go.
Thanks.
The video picks up the colors of the garden quite nicely.
Cute. Those children were so active.
Very, very cute. Normal. And here we are coming to the Snowden property. Nope, I'm sorry, we're still at Norval. There's our Penny Pines man, Clark, and fellow judge. And that is a front curbside strip. Wow, beautiful photograph of the light on these plants. Yes, indeed, another success.
Mm.
Aha, we are again at 500 Valra, and there is our visitor from afar, Sylvia.
That's right.
Made a special trip down that day to see this garden. She's on the Zoom today too, I believe.
Yes. Hi, Sylvia.
Maureen was very generous when we did our presentation. Everybody was asking her a million questions and she was answering as much as she could get to. You can probably all tell that we spent pretty much an hour at each garden, enjoying the plantings and visiting with the owners. This happened to be the moment when we all had been double vaccinated and thought things were getting a lot smoother. I didn't deliberately wear lavender that day, but I seemed to blend in perfectly with the garden. I think it's a lovely couple. Maureen doing the planting and Les doing the building. How wonderful. So some of you might know that the winners
Last one here, honey.
winners
That's the last
receive-
one here. Yeah, got it.
I might mention that the winners receive a certificate. They receive $100 check so they can go and purchase more plants and a year's membership in the El Cerrito Garden Club. And that all is supported by your support of the El Cerrito Garden Club.
And of course, they're encouraged to continue their membership after that year if
Absolutely.
they so desire.
I know that Mallory Johnson is a former winner who's now a very active member of the Garden Club. So we're hoping that Maureen in her retirement continues to join us. Or semi-retirement.
Yeah, not retirement.
Not
Second
retirement.
active career.
Second life.
These are wonderful, like old silent films.
We should have had some organ music going here in the background.
There is music. You cannot
No,
hear the music?
no, we don't hear anything,
No.
Bonnie.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Do you have your sound?
Yeah, we have our sound on.
It's on.
No,
It's
not-
interesting.
yeah, not coming across.
I'm going to pause. Because you should have some sound. Oh, Martha, did you hook it up so that we could have sound?
That would be you. You have to do that before you start screen sharing. Remember, there's that one little screen that has the note in the bottom left-hand corner that says share sound or something like that. but we're enjoying it even without the sound.
Well,
I
it's,
I
but
like
Jim,
it.
wait a minute, hold on. Now, tell me that again.
Before you start sharing your screen, when you first ask it to share, there's
Mhm.
a part where you choose, you mark the option of sharing the sound.
Oh, because I'm not stopping the share. I see it says you are screen sharing, but I don't see
Right.
where it gives me the
Well,
option
and
to turn on
it's
the
before
sound.
you start to, it's before we can
So
see.
if I
the
stop
share.
and start again, then it'll have that option.
It should.
Okay. Sorry.
Mhm.
Thank you for saying something.
Well, we were enjoying it even without whatever.
Okay, but I still didn't see where it gave me the option to do the sound.
Okay,
Is it at that little red dot?
no. Yeah, that's okay. You've done it before, so
Yeah,
I don't
but
know
that's
why it's
because
not showing.
that's, I didn't do anything before. I just started
Mhm.
it.
Mm,
So I don't
No,
know
'cause-
what's going on this time.
yeah.
So anyway, here we go.
Okay. Bonnie, so your video is not showing right now? There it is.
I don't know if any of you feel this way, but I look at that picture and realize that I'm shrinking.
Well, not during the video.
Here comes our wonderful sign, which appropriately has a butterfly on it.
And the sunflower.
And you can see in the far right-hand corner there are one of our new members, Gillis.
I think that event was the first time we met Gillis and Ruth in person. Before that, they'd only been on Zoom.
I believe our former recipients joined us at the Norville site, Tom and Bibo. By the way, it's never too late to start looking at gardens in El Cerrito. The community, garden club members, even owners of gardens are allowed to nominate as long as they're within El Cerrito border. and also a non-member of the El Cerrito Garden Club. So start looking around you and seeing if there are any gardens that would be wonderful to nominate in the near future. I also had a note while we were in discussion here that Bonnie Smith noted that Sundar Shadi did all of his own watering by hand, sometimes hundreds of plants.
Yes, those Persian carpets that he made probably was 1,000 plants, I bet.
Exactly, exactly.
Sorry.
It's fun to see all that enthusiasm videotaped.
Yes. And that was, now we are going to 3802 Snowden at the corner of Hudson. If you haven't taken a drive by these wonderful gardens, I hope you'll take the opportunity to do so. Doesn't matter that the year is past, the gardens are always beautiful, changing. One of the things I didn't note in our former presentation was they have a deck patio on the top of the right-hand side of the house. Oops,
Sorry about that.
no problem.
I had to move something out of the way. And on we go. But don't stop talking, Louise.
Okay, I'm going back over my, going back over my notes.
Just the video's paused. I didn't pause you.
Okay. Seeing if there's anything I forgot. So there's the upper deck, which I neglected to mention, and interesting wooden front door that they installed. All three gardens are really appreciated by the neighbors in that area. They all have wonderful walk-bys. There's a really great view of one of the criterias in judging is the look from the curbside. I should mention some of the other criteria. We look for drought tolerant projects. We look at the variety of plants, the sculptural aspects, whether the property and the garden are in harmony. We look at special plants that are highlighted in the garden. Holding the sign is our new member Bernadette, who is also one of the judges. And Anna, who is constantly contributing to the garden club in many ways, unfortunately not here today. And that's Ruth and Gillis standing together. Our new
No,
members.
that's Molly and Ken.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for that correction. Wow, Ken looks very large in that picture. Thank you.
Gee, those young men were so cute and personable.
I might mention
This one,
the other recipients were invited to join us, but apparently they have busy lives. So I had to fill in, and I know they could have described their gardens in a lot more detail than I could. It's nice again to have the video and see the movement of the plants. It was a rather windy day. You can see in this view that the carefully constructed retaining wall with the drainage system there on the left. I have a feeling that our $100 check would cover one plant in that garden. I have to say that all three of our winners are really enthusiastic gardeners, taking great pleasure in planting and maintaining their yards. All of them, all three were drought tolerant. And I just love the contrast between the different styles. That was mentioned early on that at one point the garden club was awarding 3 awards a month for gardens, which was incredible. And then later they did gardens that had particular themes. And then there was a period of time where there was a single garden of the month. But I think this system right now works perfectly for us. And we'll be looking forward to starting the project again come spring. But as I said, keep your eyes open for wonderful gardens. You can send me nominations at any time. I feel really fortunate to have taken on this project because it's quite enjoyable.
You've done a great job, Louise.
Every project we do in the garden club takes a lot of support from other members. So no matter what your project is, everyone knows that you have people that are helping you and boosting you. And I could not do this without Martha's support, including the calls going, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this.
You did great. You might mention that if anybody wants to join the judging team,
Yes,
you know, that the spring is a good time to drive around or walk around safely masked and look at gardens and write down nominations.
we usually entertain to have around 10 judges, and new people are welcome to join that at any time. As Martha said, let me know, send me an email, drop me a phone call. Happy to have you. So we're here starting to ask specific questions here about the garden, and I think Karam is explaining that he grew plants from seed, which is pretty amazing. He was looking for plants that reminded him of home and creating this incredible oasis. He also was telling us that Gabriel used his back to dig up the holes for the new plantings. Thank you, Bonnie. That was awesome.
Well, it looks like a couple more minutes.
Oh, there's another view, which we didn't get before, of looking down from the top. They have a view, slight view of the bay, probably a great view from their upper deck. And I believe down in this area is where Mallory lives.
Maybe down in here somewhere.
This is another thing I didn't point out, this interesting symmetry in this garden where here's the shrubs or the low growing succulents that are in a row, and on the far side, the path reflected that.
A flag waving in the breeze, very nice.
Every time I look at this garden, I see something else. Here's another highlight of the aloe that they moved around and replanted, a great accent to the front of the house. And there you can see they are still in process. There's some, I think that was gravel going in, but thank you very much, Bonnie, for filming for us and sharing your videos.
It's pretty special to have a club videographer. We really appreciate that. And
I'm so sorry you couldn't hear it. I don't know how come. I've never done anything before except to, you know, just start and it goes. Sorry you couldn't hear. What is this?
It was
well,
great just the way it was. Thank you.
Yay.
it was great. Thank you so much. And we just so much appreciate Louise and all your hard work. And it was wonderful to have Maureen present to really give us all those details. I'm going to stop recording now, but we will just have the very end of our meeting after that and some announcements. So